Managing an organization as large and complex as the FBI requires a definitive idea of where we are now and where we hope to be in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years. That's where our strategy comes in. The FBI strategy enables bureau leaders and managers to define and pursue objectives crucial to mission success, prioritize resources to achieve those objectives, track progress along the way, address gaps when identified, and, most importantly, deliver consistent results. The FBI strategy is periodically reviewed and adapted to align with the changing threat landscape and organizational climate.
April 30, 2024. Videlham Innocent's picture on the FBI's 10 most wanted list of fugitives suggests a crazed man, eyes wide and wild, teeth bared. It's the photo you might expect for a gang leader accused of destabilizing a nation, who claims to be under divine protection and who has a $2 million bounty on his head for alleged kidnappings. In person, he projects a different image, at least to guests. Powerful, yes, surrounded by armed acolytes who jump at his glance, but also carefully solicitous, with a cooler full of sandwiches for his visitors, and a tendency to wax philosophical in conversation. After weeks of negotiations, we entered Haiti's gangland to speak with Innocent, whose armed group Krejber is among the allied armed groups that have plunged Haiti into a crisis of lawlessness. He is an influential voice among the country's gang leadership, and one who believes that peace must be restored. But under what conditions? On the edge of the Tabar district of Haiti's capital Port-au-Prince last week, a truck led us through a warren of twisting dirt roads, passing checkpoints manned by armed guards in balaclavas and Halloween masks. We bumped through what was once a well-heeled neighborhood. Pink bougainvillea still spilled over high walls and a green soccer field opened onto glorious views of the city below. Now, it is almost a ghost town. Cars and motorbikes began to follow our car, their drivers masked, long guns poking out the windows. Some vehicles bore the fluttering red and blue Haitian flags of a ragtag diplomatic convoy. After about 45 minutes, a gold car pulled in front and stopped. Innocent himself stepped out. He was slight and apparently unarmed, dressed in a bright striped batik suit and soft loafers, with a tangle of gold chains and a cross draped round his neck. He led the way into a rococo mansion, where elaborate gold velvet chairs and settees, crystalline display cases and arrangements of plastic flowers hinted at previous owners. We sat, removing stuffed teddy bears from the seats to make room, and talked about the future. The Haiti we had, Haiti, the pearl of the Antilles that we grew up in, could still return to being the most beautiful, Innocent said, speaking mildly in Haitian Creole. One day, someone could sit in Champ de Mars and have an ice cream. Today, the capital's iconic Champ de Mars Park is a war zone between gangs and police. After years of political turmoil, institutional neglect and a series of brutal natural disasters, Haiti's ill fortune was pushed to its nadir last month with an unprecedented wave of gang violence that has effectively shut down Port-au-Prince. The city's main seaport and airport are dark. Government ministries have been taken over by refugees fleeing gang attacks. Bodies lie among uncollected trash in the streets, and the neighborhoods still free of gang control have seen the rise of fear-filled vigilantes, who kill and burn suspicious outsiders. Signs of the city's dysfunction were evident within the Krejber stronghold. Inside Innocent's sprawling house, the air was still and hot. His foot soldiers labored to get a generator running to power air conditioning or a fan. No one had bothered to remove the wrecked sedan that still sat next to the pool, with its blown-out windows and 4 flat tires. But the man on the gold sofa preferred to talk about a brighter future, one that he claims Haiti's gangs are prepared to usher in. To sit down with one of Haiti's gang leaders is controversial in the country, given the suffering and terror that armed groups have long sown. Arson and collective rape are preferred gang tactics to subjugate civilians, experts say, and the United Nations has recorded the gang-linked killings of at least 1,660 people and kidnappings of at least 438 people, including 21 children, in the first 90 days of the year alone. Innocent himself is under sanction by the United Nations for extensive human rights abuses committed by Krejber under his leadership, and is wanted by the Haitian National Police for kidnapping for ransom, murder, rape, armed rape, vehicle theft, theft and destruction of property. His group is known to target the Haitian National Police directly, and has sought to seize some of the wealthiest neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince. In his first interview with foreign press, Innocent did not deny the deaths, the arson, the rape or the kidnappings committed by the city's allied gangs, and told us that he has made some mistakes. But he framed the recent months of deadly street violence as collateral damage. Deaths, both accidental and extrajudicial, have also been caused by the police, he points out, claiming they refuse to engage in dialogue. His only regret, he said, is getting involved with politics. Innocent, 37, portrays the broad alliance of gangs attacking Haiti's institutions as a progressive venture. "Our dream is to get rid of the oligarchs who prevent the country from progressing," he said of the gang coalition that calls itself Vivre Ensemble or Live Together. In February, Vivre Ensemble launched an unprecedented assault on the Haitian state, attacking police stations, prisons, government buildings, hospitals, the National Palace, the National Library, cargo ships, and the Public Electricity Company. Their attacks coincided with a visit by then Prime Minister Ariel Henry to Nairobi for talks about Kenya leading a multinational security force to bolster Haiti's national police. Henry eventually resigned, as Vivre Ensemble demanded, but Innocent says the gangs now oppose the transitional governing council created to replace him. Innocent's solution: sit and listen to Vivre Ensemble. Then, he suggested, there will be a resolution as soon as possible. He criticizes the governing council as more of the same, and says it's time for the old political elites to go, a view held by many in Haiti. But the gangs have long had a symbiotic relationship with the nation's rulers, who used armed groups to exert pressure on rivals through kidnapping and other attacks. The relationship continues today, though Haiti's gangs are increasingly acting independently to amass money and power, according to experts. "Yes, I have an armed group. I direct them," Innocent said, when asked about Crèche Barrière's involvement in kidnapping. "But when you really think about it, would these guys really have any clue who to kidnap and who not to kidnap? Not at all. It's really the same people sitting with regional organization, CARICOM to represent the country. If you choose to block them, they'll call us and say, I have such and such a job. Fix it for us, and then you hear so-and-so has been kidnapped. Or so-and-so has been taken hostage," he says. "It's the corrupt officials who funnel arms and ammunition to gangs today," he said. "Let's take a clear example. We aren't able to travel. We aren't able to import. We aren't able to export. Yet there are always weapons coming in. There are always bullets. And we don't have any representatives at the border. We don't have any representatives at customs. Yet all these materials go through exactly these channels. How do they get to us?" he says. The corruption he describes is no secret. Haiti currently ranks 172 out of 180 countries on the World Corruption Perceptions Index. Over the past year, sanctions by Canada and United States have accused former prime ministers and presidents in Haiti, among dozens of other influential Haitians, of corruption and financing the country's gangs, among other crimes. Leading us through his territory, Innocent said he remembers local elders farming in Taber during his youth in the 1980s and 90s. "Of course, we were able to harvest then," he recalls. Today, he blames Haiti's dependence on imported food as yet another sign of how the country has been mismanaged by upper class, robbing ordinary people of every economic opportunity. Before he took up arms, he claims, his own legitimate businesses, including a construction business, a hotel and rental car enterprise, were destroyed by powerful business interests in the area. Marie-Lucie Bonhomme-Uppant, 55, a well-known radio and television journalist who once lived in Taber, has a different view of what transformed the neighborhood to the desolate place it is today. She was robbed by Crèche Barrière members in June last year, she says, then kidnapped and brought to meet Innocent himself. "It was the middle of the night, and I was sleeping, when suddenly I heard a tremendous commotion downstairs," she recalls. "Around 30 armed people broke into my house and began to pillage it, taking things, even food from the kitchen. The burglars demanded money, and then, apparently unsatisfied, took her away with them. They drove for about 45 minutes, according to Uppant. I was so scared, bandits coming into my house. Shocked that this could happen in my own home. I know they are rapists, they have committed atrocious rapes and other crimes," she says. Eventually they came to a stop in the dark. Uppant tells us that Innocent himself then came to her car and asked her if she recognized his voice. "Of course I did," she says. "He used to give press conferences and was very active on social media. He seemed to recognize her too, addressing Uppant by name. Of course he knew who I was," she says. "Everyone in the neighborhood knows that's her house. But why they took me, I don't know. I still ask myself." She was released early the next morning without explanation. Her husband, kidnapped a week later, was not treated as well. Held by force for several days without his medication, Pierre-Louis Uppant was released by Crèche Barrière only after they extracted a heavy ransom payment from his family, she says. They moved out of Taber immediately. "It's what we call in Haiti a territoire perdu," she says of her old neighborhood, a lost territory. "It's a red zone," Uppant elaborates. "A few days after my husband's kidnapping, gang members installed themselves in a house near the main road and were firing at passing vehicles. She has no patience for gang leaders claim to be fighting to liberate Haiti.
Equality before the law, also known as equality under the law. Equality in the eyes of the law, legal equality, or legal egalitarianism, is the principle that all people must be equally protected by the law. The rule of law is a political ideal that all citizens and institutions within a country, state, or community are accountable to the same laws, including lawmakers and leaders. It is sometimes stated simply as no one is above the law.